There are so many classes to choose from in Tactics Ogre Reborn, so I decided I'm only going to use one. Can we actually win battles and defeat bosses while using a team made up of just one class? Let's find out. After thinking it over, I decided wizards and enchantresses would be my team. A lot of firepower potential, but very squishy. So I hired a new band of wizards and spent a few hours equipping and training them until they were ready to take on the world. Then I sent them back in time to the end of Chapter 1 to see how they'd fare. Let me know what class you would bring into battle if you could only bring one. I should mention at this point that I turned level sync on for these fights, so they could actually be fights and not one-sided bloodbaths. However, I decided to leave my wizards equipped with the skills and spells obtained at later levels. These spells would still be weakened because of the level sync, and I figured the mages would need some help. I was wrong. I was very wrong. The Wizard Corps easily wiped the floor with these early enemies. The advantage of range and wide area attacks was just too powerful. After this initial battle, I let the AI fight through a few more battles in Chapter 1 and early Chapter 2, but it never really got challenging. I did, however, try one of these early battles again, this time equipping my wizards with only level 1 spells and the skills they would have had at the battle sync level, which in this case was level 8. This certainly made the battle more of a slog, and the AI probably would have lost it on its own, so I took control near the end, focused fire on the target enemy, and still easily won. So I decided it was time to skip ahead and see just how well the Wizard Corps could do against what I found to be one of the toughest boss fights in my Chaos playthrough, the Dark Knight's Oz and Ozma fight near the end of Chapter 3. This fight would prove much more challenging for my wizards, as the enemy here, including the bosses, have some decent range attacks as well as healer support. I began the battle by attempting to move most of my units away from the enemies on the stairs to give myself more time to focus on Oz first. When my first hit on Oz only did 37 damage, I began to worry. Then this happened. Now I wasn't sure this would end well. Maybe wizards couldn't do this alone. As my next attack on Oz didn't even hit, I began to retreat and try to move into a kiting strategy. While doing this, the enemy Beastmaster came up and threw a healing item at Oz, who was hurting so bad from the 5 damage I'd done to him so far. Thanks. But then I was able to get 2 decent attacks off in a row and we were back in the fight. After a few more turns, I had Oz on the ropes. But by this time, he had made it to my front line, where he could begin taking out my squishy mages with his melee attacks. At the same time, other enemy units were closing in, and we were beginning to take hits from multiple sides. But I still kept up my barrage on Oz. Finally, after another round of magical missiles, Oz went down. At this point, things were looking up, but the enemy was bearing down on me, and Ozma was still out of range. So I began a tactical retreat to the edge of the room, firing away at whatever I could hit in the meantime. It was at this time that my wizards began to fall. Ozma got in range to take out my straggler, then the dragon began wreaking havoc behind my lines. It was crunch time. I needed to reduce the amount of turns the enemy was getting, so I started going after a group of 4 and then 3 with my AoE spells. This began to level the playing field once again. Ozma wasn't having it though. Seeking revenge for her fallen brother, she came in with her special whip attack, instantly knocking out poor Arnold here. Then the dragon continued its onslaught within my lines. Something had to be done soon, as mages were beginning to drop like flies. I started the counterattack, with a thunder flare from Denim, finishing off the group of 3 I'd been hitting earlier. This removed the 2 archers and a healer, and gave my wizard corps some breathing room. We were tired, so were they. Now it was time for some first aid, as the wizards began to revive each other and restore our numbers. Ozma, however, was not finished yet, as she rushed in and took down another one of my wizards, and then the dragon continued to be annoying. It was time to start hitting Ozma with everything I had. It was coming down to the wire with a third of my team unconscious, and Ozma on the ropes, and then this happened. No. We can't have that. The last enemy healer was now gone, but half my team, including Denim, were down for the count. So I began another round of first aid. With the aid rendered, it was now just a matter of time, as I had the action economy advantage. Another concentrated barrage on Ozma, and it was finally over. They were battered and bloodied, but the mages had won. And they didn't need any help from those macho frontline knights either. They did it alone. So yes, you can win in Tactics Ogre Reborn with just one class, but wizards with their range and AoE attacks are actually quite powerful when used effectively. What about another class? What about archers? If you want to see that video, or an attempt at any other class going in alone, please like this video and let me know in the comments which class you'd like to see. For tips on how to build stronger characters, watch this video that I made for you. And thank you so much for watching, have a great day, and keep on gaming!